important is it to work on your tone? And how much time should you spend working on your tone? That's what this video is about. Hi, I'm Donna Schwartz from DonnaSchwartzMusic.com, the site to bring your saxophone playing up to the next level. I had a bunch of questions this week that were related to tone, and the root question, I guess, would be how long they should work on tone. So let me start off with a story. I guess it was probably 2 years ago. I was playing a gig in an upscale hotel in downtown Los Angeles, and there was a famous saxophone player in the audience, although I didn't know of him, so he wasn't so famous to me, I guess. So we spoke for a while afterwards, and then I checked him out on Google when I got home and I researched him. And what I found was that I didn't really like his tone. He was a good player. He had a really good command of special effects. And I think that his playing, he felt that the type of music that he played, that he needed to play, he needed to put in those special effects in order to get the audience up and going. But the tone, it didn't do anything for me. And actually, it kind of turned me off a little bit to the point where it was hard for me to listen to. But I respect him as a player. And with each genre that we play in, we have certain choices we have to make. So what's the point of all this? Well, because I wasn't crazy about his tone, I wasn't able to really listen to him. I wasn't able to listen to what he was doing or saying, and it kind of turned me off. And you don't want your tone doing that to other people or to yourself. Okay, so tone is super important. So let me get to those questions. First one was from OM. And he says, I play tenor sax for 3 years. All my notes are okay, but I don't know how to bend notes or do vibrato. Should I start with the bending first or? And then Meryl's question was, I'm 77 and I've been playing sax since age 12. On tenor, I've developed a lip quiver, most likely due to age. Is blowing lots of long tones going to help me stop quivering, and are there some special exercises I can do to re-strengthen my lower lip? Thanks in advance. Well, this leads me into this, and it's the 3 mistakes saxophone players, or most saxophone players, make when practicing tone. The first one is assuming that practicing long tones will solve all your tone problems. In fact, one of the standard answers in many of the forums that we see, whether it's on Facebook or other websites, when someone's saying they're having a problem with tone or they need to build their embouchure, people write long tones. And although, yes, long tones are a part of the solution, it's a misguided answer because it's not the panacea. It's not the solution for everybody. There are other exercises that need to be done. There are some considerations. And when you don't practice long tones properly, what's going to happen is you're going to reinforce bad habits as opposed to creating good ones, as opposed to building up your embouchure strength. So that's the first mistake. The next mistake that saxophone players make when working on their tone is they feel like they should try to play special effects when they don't have control over at least the written range of the saxophone, you know, from low B flat to F. At least that much. And having control over the sound where the sound is steady, it's reliable, it's going to come out, all right, and it's in tune. So they try to go for effects like bending. Well, I'll tell you a quick story. One of my first mentors, we were studying blues and studying early rock, and he was having me transcribe a whole bunch of solos, and he said, okay, transcribe this particular solo. And it had a lot of bends, note bends in it. And he didn't tell me how to do it. He said, just figure it out. Well, that wasn't very helpful because what I wound up doing was figuring out how to do bends, but not the best way. And actually, I created some bad habits that took a long time to get rid of. So now the thing is, I did have a command over certainly the written range of the instrument and even some altissimo notes, but I didn't have the right guidance for learning how to bend notes, nor did I have the right guidance for doing altissimo either. So long story short, it's super important to be able to control at least the written range of your instrument, make sure that the notes are in tune, and make sure you're not biting to get the notes before you attempt to do any kind of special effects. So that's kind of my answer to OM's question, okay? In fact, what I would say, even before you try to bend notes, you can try to do vibrato, but again, the same thing holds true here. You have to have control over your sound, over your tone before you try to do that. Now, the third mistake that most saxophone players make when working on tone is the exact opposite. They don't work on tone at all. They say, I'm just going to work on technique, I'm just going to work on music. Who cares about tone? Well, just like my story in the beginning, you know, not that the guy didn't work on his tone, I don't know, maybe he didn't, I'm not sure. But think of it this way, when your tone isn't good, you're distracted by it. And you're so distracted, you're not creating. Okay, a lot of people want to jump right into improvisation. Hey, that's awesome. And there's ways to work on improvisation without actually picking up the horn and playing. Okay, you could find that out in my Jazz Improvisation Explained course. But if you don't spend some time working on your tone, you're going to get so distracted with having problems getting notes to come out, or notes are uneven, or they squeak or squawk, or they just cut out on you, that you're not going to get anything done, you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to quit. All right? Or, you know, you don't work on tone, you work on technique, you feel like you have this blazing fast technique, but the tone doesn't sound good. You're not in tune, you're not projecting, and the audience is turned off by it. Well, they're not going to listen to what you have to say, because what you have to say is kind of cut off to them. So tone is super, super important. So how much time should you spend on tone? Well, it's relative to how much experience you have playing the instrument. And believe it or not, when professionals have the least amount of time to practice, you know what they work on? Tone. And then they're going to work on any tunes they need to prepare for any upcoming gigs. And I know for me, you know, if something's off with my tone, I get distracted. So I want to make sure that I fix that, I nail it, I get things going so that I could be fully creative when I'm improvising or working on tunes. Okay? So I hope this video helped you. I just want to give you a couple of reminders. We have, myself and Nick Manella, are partners in a podcast called the Everything Saxophone Podcast, and you could check us out on YouTube. We've got all of our episodes so far. We're pretty new, okay? We've got about 10 episodes out there, and definitely please subscribe to that channel. But more importantly, go to saxophonepodcast.com and subscribe to us on iTunes or through any of your other devices. Give us a 5-star review. The more reviews we get, the more saxophone players we could reach with this great information that we have. We've interviewed Derek Brown, Jeff Kashiwa, Greg Fishman, Roxy Koss, a whole bunch of people. All right, so you've got to check that out. The last thing I want to remind you about, hey, look, if you want to sound amazing on the saxophone, but you're kind of stuck as to what your next step is, there's going to be a link in the show notes for you to just tell me a little bit more information, and then you get a free video lesson that's going to push you up past that obstacle that you're experiencing. So thanks for joining me today. On that note, take care. Have a great day.